I long for a world so pure and free. I wish for others all I'd wish for me. To live right, avoiding what is wrong, and focus every day on the ultimate goal. Forever, what's in my heart is all of the love from Allah.
Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Amma ba'd. And we are told to discuss mother, frugal, or a spendthrift. So that will take us to some definitions. And of course, the very difficult word, the first difficult word will be frugal, abi. Mother or le pupo, anybody can define mother. So, and I say, the being frugal means sparing or being economical as regards money, hand, or food. And while sparing means doing something in a modest manner. You know, we were to define frugal. We went up to talk about being sparing and economical. And that reminds me of a daughter of mine. We were in the house one day, and the brother, don't mind me, we were in the house, and in our house, we used to do ta'lim. So one after the other, you talk to us on a particular topic, may even be a verse of the Quran. And we were on that one day, and the person that was delivering then said something was insignificant. The very first child of the family said, blah, 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 insignificant. And the last baby of the house then picked the word insignificant. And when it was question time, he asked, Egbon, when you were talking, you said insignificant. What's the meaning of insignificant? And my son said infinitesimal. And the sister said, you're on your own, talking to yourself. I mean, you said insignificant. I was asking for the meaning of that. You now said infinitesimal, so you must be on your own. And I said, yes, of course, man, you are on your own. How can you explain insignificant with infinitesimal? That was on a lighter mood. So, being sparing about whatever you are doing is doing that thing in a modest manner. And economical, it's about giving value or return in relation to money, time, or efforts expended. On a good day, people will say, I want Jebu, I want economical. And when they say that, they will translate that to mean ahun nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ṣé ti àìgbóyìnbó ló ń dà yín láàmú o? Kò mean pé àyàwó, ó mean pé amọ̀yì, owó, àtàsíkò, àti gbogbo okun àtagbára tàbá kó into anything. And of course, being a frugal person will mean that that person prioritizes spending money on things that add value. Anyhow, it must be something to add value to his life. Again, this person avoids using money for what is considered unimportant. Ọ̀tọ̀ necessary, ọ̀tọ̀ important. And the person recognizes the value of a time, health, and happiness over material possession. People will think that it's about materiality. No, it's about all that would have to do with my health. When I give you my time, I give you my, I'm giving you my health, so to say. When I'm talking to you, when I'm discussing with you, when I'm even attending your function, even not doing anything there, I'm giving you my health. And you know health is wealth. So if I'm expending that wealth, it must be for a purpose. And so, and it must be something that will come at the end of the day with an established result. This person lives a modest lifestyle. The person takes conscious decisions not to spend money on things that are not valued by her, so that she will have enough to spend on what she values. I will not just spend my money anyhow on anything, but on those things that I value. And that is summarily saying the person spends wisely. Spending wisely, either your money, your time, or any other thing, is about you spending it in a wise manner. Spendthrift, if you go to the dictionary, it says a person who spends money in an extravagant, reckless, wasteful, and sometimes irresponsible manner. That is, summarily, spending wastefully. And Quran 17:26 warns us against being spendthrift. So, whereas being thrifty, English words can be so confusing and sometimes disturbing. When they talk about spendthrift, ìyẹn gangan ló já sí ahun. But they will tell you that when you are thrifty, then you are as well as being frugal. Do you remember what we have said about frugality and give? So may Almighty Allah continue to. Hence, the average mother is expected to be frugal. Ordinarily, the average mother is expected to be frugal. But there are times that she will behave like a spendthrift. We will talk about it as we go on. Areas of spending for us generally is about accommodation, feeding, clothing, health, and education of the children. And you wonder, why am I talking about this? These are the established responsibilities of the man in the house, of the father. Because the Quran, chapter 4, verse 34, talks about Arijalu Qawwamuna 'ala an-Nisa. When it is broken down with the required tafsir, you will come to this. Assalamu alaikum, ma. You will come to what I have said, that it is the duty of the man to provide all of this for the man, for the woman of the house and the children. But then, are we excluded as mothers? No. In fact, these days, you find situations where mothers are the ones doing this. Because you find that in some instances, the mothers are the ones that are meaningfully engaged, that are economically meaningfully engaged. Whereas the man of the house is not that engaged, not because he doesn't want to be, but because peradventure the jobs are not there. Of course, I will tell you, it's not an excuse. If people cannot give you job as a man or as a woman, create a job now. Create a job for yourself in the first instance. And where you're able to create job for yourself, before you know it, you will have created jobs even for other people. So it is not sufficient to say that the government is not able to give us work, or the environment is not able to give us work, and then you now fold your hands and start running into some unnecessary problems. Now, even where the man is doing it, is it in the Nigerian of today that a man can do all of this by himself? Possible. 17 divided by 2. It is not possible. That's another thing I'm bringing out from my own experience. A child came home one day and was given an assignment in arithmetic, maybe in nursery 2 or primary 1 child then. And she was given an assignment to divide 17 by 2. Whereas what the teacher taught her in the class before giving the assignment was even numbers, or even the numbers where when you divide, nothing will remain. So by the time she was now given 17 divided by 2, she said, it is impossible. And the father was struggling to explain. And I said, Abi, your teacher gave you an assignment tí ò ṣeé ṣe, ó máa rú padà lọ bá nílé ìwé, ẹ máa lọ máa ṣe bó bá ṣe ṣeé ṣe. Kò ṣeé ṣe, as far as we are concerned, kò ṣeé ṣe. So in the Nigerian environment of today, it is kò ṣeé ṣe for a man to take care of the whole home regarding all of the listed items. Therefore, we are expected as mothers to manage the provisions that the man is able to give us at all, where he is giving it. I earlier established a situation where the man may not even be able to do it at all. But we have challenged such a man. Let him go and work. Let him go and create work for himself. Let him not say because, for instance, he is trained as an accountant, then he's looking for a job in the bank. Lotus Bank, for instance. That's why he's now looking for job. No, if you cannot get job in Lotus Bank, let him create job. Be a teacher of mathematics and English, a lesson teacher for that matter, even where you cannot get a job as a full-time teacher in any educational institution. So, but when he comes, therefore, and he's trying to make provision, I tell you, that you have to add. We too, we find ourselves in different categories. Some of us are full-time housewives. Let's go on song. Let's go on song. But I know that generally, so our náà máa ṣiṣẹ́ with this agreement, therefore, and then there's need for us to now manage these resources. To be able to manage these resources effectively, then she necessarily must be frugal. Am I making any sense? She therefore needs to balance the economic turbulence. In fact, in the last few decades of my life, the Nigerian economic situation has never been this turbulent. When you buy àwọn bí owó, we may have to change your name today. Because I believe that we should tell Allah what we want by being very, very positive. Kí nǹkan kan máa wọ́n, a ti sọ wọ́n jù, ó ti wá wọ́n tayọ agbára wa. Can you imagine a situation where ike ọ̀dà ẹ̀wà? See the way I said it. When I got married, the worst meal that you will give to my husband is beans. Worst meal. If you put beans on the table, you are looking for a struggle. For Allah, then you. No, you cannot imagine that ike oda. And when I got married, nobody was buying ewa ninu ke o. You didn't buy ike oda o. Ike oda was not a means of measurement. For goodness sake, my sister can confirm this. Ike oda was not a means of measurement. The means of measurement that we knew was gorodomu garawa lamo. And you are either buying a full garawa or you are buying half of garawa as a married person that was frugal at that time. Because you need to manage the available resources. And it was better for you to buy in large quantities than to buy retail. But today, they are not telling me, Ike Oda Ewa. It's 11,000. It's 13,000. And it is such that if you go to the market in the morning and you're able to buy it for 9,000, tell your child, boya owo kan tun di awufa, boya je ara ike kan si, the afternoon of the same day, from the same woman, and the woman will say the price has now gone to 11,000. A brother was telling me a story. He bought something in the market, and he said, "Oh, I still want to buy some other things. When I come back, I'll pick." By the time he came back, they said, so before he could pick his item, he had to add money to. Wallahi. Hello. Ọlọ́run ló ní kí bọ̀dá yẹn kó má gọ̀. And this was a situation of an ordinarily gentle brother. And I said, Abi. So they just left him. And it is that bad. See how turbulent everything is. And everything is now coming on the average human. And that's why we need this hanging out. And turbulence is ordinarily about atmospheric instability that has to do with movements resulting from storm. Ordinarily, when you talk about turbulence, you're talking about atẹ́gùn lórí omi tó bring wàhálà, tó ìjì ni turbulence mean. But insane, it is like it is for our economic situation. It is that bad. However, it has this broader meaning as a situation characterized by unrest and disorder. But that is how bad our situation is. There is disorderliness everywhere, and there is insecurity everywhere. And this is the time for this woman to bring out the best in her as an economic and frugal person. You want to spend on all of this, and you can only be able to do that well if you are a frugal mother. You need to navigate this environment effectively by being someone that will play the right strategies. You will by employing the right strategies. Let me make a diversion. In this population that we are here, I can identify 3 generations. Old school, like myself and Alhaja. And of course, the so-called millennial, àwọn kúndúrákítọ̀ kan láwọn, BB, all of them, Alli-Oluwafuyi, agbogbo yín yẹ, the millennium, the millennial people. And of course, a few of the Gen Z, a few of them, of the Gen Z. And we are all in this business together. The attitude of the old school honestly differs from the attitude of the millennial. And you are in the majority in this room. And your attitude differs from those coming behind you, the Gen Z. And the most likely thing is that the attitude of your own children, because àwọn tó jẹ́ Gen Z yẹn are probably your siblings, coming after you. The attitude of your own children, ẹ má jẹ́ ká sọ pé ó máa wọ̀ sí, á tún dá sí ní inshallah. But from what we have been seeing, we know how it has been moving. Gbogbo wa, the 3 schools have their own characteristics. Although the old school is seen as old-fashioned, adhering to old-fashioned values. For instance, in the value of marriage, we were told when we were leaving our various fathers' homes, kò sáyè fún ẹbí báyìí mọ́ o, bó ṣe ń lọ yìí, don't think of looking back. You aren't coming back here. Kò sáyè, you cannot come back. So orí náà kò tó sọ pé o fẹ́ fẹ́, that's your headache. So go and manage it however you want to manage it. The millennial, because we are the ones training you, we handed that over to you. But you have a new teacher in the social media. And you believe in that new teacher than you believe in us. And so, you are the ones that have witnessed a great social value change. For you, for instance, with regards to marriage, tó bá work ni o, tí ò bá work, it will work you. It is a contract, according to you. Tó bá work ni, tí ò bá work, it will work ni o. And that's why you give us a lot of concern until recently. When I now will tell my contemporaries that, ẹ má jẹ́ apara wa o. They will live o. They will be, even after our death. I was at a wedding yesterday. So, ọmọ ọ̀rẹ́ mi, ọ̀rẹ́ tèmi yẹn ló invite me because of the peculiar situation of the bride. What happened? The mother died. As a result of wàhálà ilé ayé, àwọn ọmọ máa jẹ, wọ́n máa mú, wọ́n máa lọ school, wọ́n máa ṣègbà, wọ́n máa ṣàkókò bàbá aṣáṣun yẹn. And she was at the forefront of providing for the family. And the job was heavy on her. Well, Ọlọ́run ló máa ń pààyàn. And none of us will die earlier than the predetermined date of our death by Almighty Allah. And none of us will die later than that time. So we so believe as Muslims. But of course, even ní abẹ́ ẹ̀bẹ̀, there are some things that ó máa máa ṣẹlẹ̀. It was generally believed at that time that wàhálà ilé ló pa woman yẹn. 3 years after her death, the husband could no longer cope and he died. 5 kids like that were left. The second child, ló ṣe wedding lánàá. And I was sitting down like my beautiful sister was sitting down, remembering the mother because I knew her when she was alive. So remembering the mother. And I saw everybody in there dancing. Because life continues. And that's what I tell my contemporaries. We have tried our best. If our best is not good enough, sorry. If you die and you don't know, in fact, I have seen situations where mothers have died and the children were not saying, Mommy, look at now, can you water now? And look at it now. We are missing her. Kò sẹ́ni tó máa bá mi tọ́jú ọmọ nígbà tí mo bímọ. That's the time he or she will remember the mother and they will blame her. Ọlọ́run má ṣe wá lóníyà. Ọlọ́run má jẹ̀yà mọ́yà. Lẹ́yìn ìgbà téèyàn ṣe wàhálà títí tó kú dá yín, ẹ tún wá ń blame ẹ̀ lọ́nà ọ̀run. Whereas what Allah says is that you should pray for us at that point. But if the situation is so bad, mo ti ìrántí ọmọ mi tán débi tí fẹ́ lọ rántí ẹlòmíì. So that is the reality. So for us, therefore, I say let's mind our peculiarities and just note that everybody will be okay. My own children will tell me that, Mommy, ẹ má dára yín láàmú, everybody will be okay. Ẹ má dára yín láàmú, all will be well. Ló bá tán. The Gen Z, they have come worse with diversity of multiculturalism. In our time, if our parents will tell you, Ìjẹ̀bú má marry Ìbàdàn because of the cultural difference. But the MSS in us, our seniors in MSS say, no, Islam does not say you should discriminate based on tribe. So it's Islam, one Allah, one Rasul, one Quran, one book of Hadith. Àbá ń kó sórí ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀, adẹ̀ lórí tá a máa ń kọ tó gbé díẹ̀ náà àwọn orin yẹn lẹ ti kọ́ níbà earlier. And because we did it for Allah's sake, Allah has always been on our side. Alhamdulillah. We try to so train you, but you have another teacher, like I said. And so, you are doing it your own way. Mọ́mí ẹ̀ má para yín, ní para wa, kọ́lọ̀ má pa wá nígbà tí ò tí ì tọ́jọ́. Now, the younger ones now came. The Gen Z came with carefreeness, if there is anything like that. Carelessness. And you find a mother tó bí ọmọ márùn-ún for the sake of discussion. And all of them ló fẹ́ foreigner, ìkan fẹ́ Canadian, ìkan fẹ́ Turkish, ìkan fẹ́ not even an African. Talk less of a Nigerian. Talk less of Ìjẹ̀bú or Ìbàdàn. You are lucky as a mother if the Canadian that the person is married, or the German or the Denmark, that I'm talking of real life stories, that they are married. You are lucky if they are Muslims. Many a time, some of them are not Muslims. So that you now conduct your daughter's nikah. I'm talking of even daughters. Aside from sons, you will be conducting your daughter's nikah, and the closest friend to you will not know. Because it's like it is a thing of shame. You can't tell your closest friend, ọmọ mi, Canadian ló fẹ́ fẹ́, and the Canadian is actually even a non. In fact, he's an atheist. Yes, atheist. By atheist, we mean somebody that does not even believe in the existence of Allah or of God. Any kind of kò sí nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́nu wọn lọ́hùn. So kò sí guidance. Neither the Quran nor the Bible nor ìwé àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe ló jẹ́ guide ẹ̀. So he does not even want to hear it. And you are talking of, subhanallah, our own daughters. But ṣé ká kú torí ẹ̀? We better not die because of that. The Gen Z will readily, easily go for anything and everything, multicultural, whatever. And they will be telling you, Mom, what is wrong in it? And Mommy, what is the problem? May Allah continue to guide us aright. For us, we are first and foremost Muslims. Whether you belong to the old school, or the millennial group, or Gen Z, or any other Gen that will still come, you are first and foremost. Because the millennials are equally referred to as Gen Y. I don't know whether you know that you are Gen Y. In addition to being millennial. So whatever it is, we are first and foremost Muslims. And because we are Muslims, we are guided. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us he was going to leave two things for us when he was living. At the last Hajj, on Arafah Day, he told us Muslims, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà níbi tẹ́ bá gbọ́ ẹ sọ fáwọn tí ò sí níbí, for adventure ó máa yí àwọn tó ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn ju ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà níbi tẹ́ ń gbọ́ lọ. Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ ní kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀. I'm leaving two things with you, the Quran and the Hadith. And that is why it is necessary for us to memorize the Quran. And I'll take this further. It's not sufficient that you memorize the Quran. It is important that you read the Quran in the language that you understand. When you read the Quran in the language that you understand, you are guided by Allah. One very beautiful thing about Quran, I don't know whether you can testify to that. It is not enough that we memorize. It is important that we read the Quran in the language that we understand. And we try to imbibe the teachings. There are just two major things after believing in Allah in the Quran. What He wants you to do and what He doesn't want you to do. It is important that you know them. And you try as much as possible to do them. There are some general statements about what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. There are some specific statements you must get to do. And one beautiful thing about Quran is that once you are resolved that you want to read the Quran to give you mutmainah, it will interest you that that portion that you are reading that day will be a guide for your life on that day. Whatever it is that is troubling you, or whatever it is that you want to engage in, will be that portion of the Quran. That is what it will be talking about. And you will be guided. The Hadith too. There are some people that say they are Quraniyun. They just believe in Quran and Quran because they believe that for Hadith there are some issues. Because you will find their fast saying àwọn Hadith kan ó da'if, that is, it's weak. The Hadith is weak. Kí ló kàn wọ́n pẹ̀lú Hadith kan ó da'if? When you read an Hadith, see, that will form the basis of guidance for you. You will know it and you will follow it. Let the academician be talking about the isnad, àti musiad, àti isnad, àti nisabuli usulu, kokoyan. You as an individual Muslim, you want to be guided by, and I say again, you can equally learn from the experiences of others, whether older, your contemporaries, or even younger ones. Experience kò ṣe é rà lọ́jà o. The average Mala, our brothers in the north, they cherish experience a lot. If a Malam tells you, I have headache, and you say go and take paracetamol, he will ask you, have you ever had headache before? He will say yes. And what did you take? Paracetamol, he will take it. But if he ask you, and your question is in the negative, and you are recommending, experience, that's all. He will not listen to you. So learn from àwọn Yorùbá náà sọ pé a fi ọgbọ́n ọlọ́gbọ́n ṣọgbọ́n ní láyé. You can even equally learn from your own experiences, something that has happened to you before. You either come to learn that, oh, it's a good way of doing this thing, you repeat it when you find yourself in a similar situation. Or you learn that, that's not a good way to do it. Like the man who invented bulb. One he tried for 99 times. Till make it. The 100th time, not to make it. Each time they want to try, well, no, that's not the way to do it. Oh, no, that's not the way to do it. And until he got to where he got to. So you can learn from the experiences of people who are older, contemporaries, or even else. Then you determine your purpose and objective at any point in time. You even know what mo fẹ́ know. Kí ni mo fẹ́ know? Kí ni mo ṣe fẹ́ know? What do I want to achieve? Even, for example, in the case of accommodation, do we want to go for a one room? Oríṣiríṣi la máa ń gbọ́ nígbà tí ń sìn o. One room self-contained, or room and parlour self-contained, or you want to go for tí n bá kà ńkọ́ tí mo fi sápò. Àwọn Yorùbá níbẹ̀ tí ò gbọ́ yìgì. Ṣebí tí n bá kà á ni tí n bá kà ńkọ́ ẹ má bínú. We are hanging out. I had to cancel all other engagements that I had today You said 9 o'clock. I got here 9 o'clock, about 9 o'clock. And we did not start this program until 11. 2 hours. In fact, nígbà tá a tún máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní 11, orin àti jólà. Kí ló ní ìtàjẹ́ ká kúkú ti máa jó láti 9 yẹn? Èmi máa jó náà. Àwọn tó mọ̀ mí pé mo mọ̀ ọjọ́ mo dẹ̀ mórí kọ. So, bá ti dé lágo mẹ́sàn-án yẹn torí ìjọ mi, let's learn our lesson. It would not have been that we wasted our time. We will have learned some more songs. And dancing is exercise. We will have gained a lot. Whereas the doctor has advised me that I should not sit for more than 30 minutes at any point in time. You made me start for almost 2 hours, doing nothing. For something that I had to wake up at 3 a.m. today to be able to put these papers together. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ sọ fún pé kó ṣọ́ra ẹ̀. For 3 minutes. Thank you very much. So we need to learn from the experiences of others, older, contemporaries. Determine purpose and objective. As I was talking about even when you want to spend on accommodation. Kí ni purpose? Kí ni objective wa? Yes, I can decide that, okay, let's start with 1 room, self-contained. Because in the next 5 years, we wish that we move to our own house, to our own apartment. So rather than paying, I don't know, I never imagined that people will pay as much as 1 million naira rent, yo. Àfìgbà tí ń yo. 1 million naira net rent. I couldn't have imagined it at my own time. And then some di arúgbó. How old am I now? Tí gbogbo ẹ̀ wá di bó ṣe dà yìí. So maybe that, yes, let's start with a 1-room apartment so that and we'll be paying even that one 200,000. The balance of 800,000 come out perfect kojo towards buying our land and then building our house. So anytime we want to spend on anything, establish the purpose and objective, even on feeding. Why do we want to feed? Why do I want to spend on feeding? What type of food? Want to serve a balanced diet ní ká jẹ. Nínú balanced diet tí ọ̀nà tá fi lè gbé gbà ó pọ̀. You want to cook stew or keep soup? Ilé alásèpọ̀ ọbẹ̀ ni o. Ẹ̀fọ́ rírò ọbẹ̀ ni o. Ẹ̀gúsí ọbẹ̀ ni o. My husband will say to our cook, what we want you to cook today is ẹ̀fọ́ ẹlẹ́gúsí, which is different from ẹ̀gúsí ẹlẹ́fọ́. Go and find out the difference. Ẹ̀fọ́ ẹlẹ́gúsí, then ẹ̀gúsí ẹlẹ́fọ́. And change ẹ̀ ni o. You are changing is a different thing. To the household, ó ti yàtọ̀, and that is that you just have to be very, very creative as a woman of the house. And that's still coming out of frugality. Again, you must necessarily ensure that you always benchmark your costs with the expected benefits. What we call, as accountants, cost-benefit analysis. And for you to do this effectively, you always plan and budget. Don't tell me I'm not an accountant, so I cannot budget. Simple thing. Your own household budget is, well, èló la ní lọ́wọ́, 100,000 for the sake of discussion. A dẹ̀ fẹ́ lọ ọjà, a fẹ́ ra nǹkan for the whole month. Don't carry the 100,000 and enter the market, yo, like what and what you want to buy down. You have to, and that's your budget. You plan your spending, and it's your budget. What do I want to buy? I can assure you, now by the time you get to the market, your budget will be different from the actual. But you have a guide. That guide will help you. It's only in the ministry that their budget is always equal to their... Yes, because they don't have any plan that they are following. They are just trying to create expenditure budget. Kasha no. Ọlọ́run adáríjì wọn. Àwọn náà nọ bá Adé today. My daughter is not one of them. She's not one of them. So, when you have done your budget, your plan going to the market, on return, because it will never ever be actual. On return, just suppose your actual with your plan, the original budget. So that will help you when you want to prepare for the next one. You review and you recognize the need for change and diversification. Tẹ́wà bá ti wọ́n jù, then you do a mixture of ẹ̀wà àti ìrẹsì. You can do ẹ̀wà àti ìrẹsì alásèpọ̀. You can do ẹ̀wà maize. So many things. Kì í jẹ nǹkan kan, you will teach the children to know how to do. Like my father used to say, Ọlọ́run ló ní bàbá yẹn gbòòsì láyé sí ìbáwo bàbá wonder kan náà. My father used to tell us that tó bá ti jó oúnjẹ kò ní pa yín. So don't tell me I don't eat something. I cannot eat something. Even when you leave our household and you have to go elsewhere, whatever, tó bá jẹ́ nǹkan táwọn náà ń jẹ kò ní pa ẹ́, mi ò jẹ́rí òsì ń bẹ̀. Because the alternative problem we have is that you will starve. And if you starve, then you will develop ulcer. When you develop ulcer, to manage ulcer is more expensive than you eating that food. Worst case scenario, if you eat the food, tí o dẹ̀ níbẹ̀ lára mu, wàá bì dànù. So ti mọ̀ pé next time, o ní jẹ, and they will probably have an alternative for you. But wọ́n gbóúnjẹ sílẹ̀, o ti ẹ̀ jẹ́, o ní ẹ̀jẹ̀ rí ilé yín, and so I remember a sister of mine nígbà tó marry, ọ̀dọ̀ àwa èmi àtọkọ mi ọ̀dọ̀ wa ló ti trade. Ó bá dọ́dọ̀ ọkọ ẹ̀, ló bá ní àwọn ò kì í jẹ ẹja Titus nílé àwọn. That was about 10-12 years ago. Ṣé àpé èèyàn tiẹ̀ tún yìí da àsìkò yìí lọ. Àwọn ò ń jẹ ẹja Titus as real lọ́bẹ̀. Ẹja Titus ní àwọn máa ń rún fi ń díta. Stew làwọn fi ń ṣe. Táwọn máa fi ń jẹ búrẹ́dì àbí jẹ iṣu. Ọkọ ẹ̀ wá sọ pé o máa padà sílé yín yẹn. Ó wá wálé mi. Wọ́n ní in the first instance, this is not your house. Oh. This is my own house. My husband's house is my house. The only house tó dé mi àti ẹ̀pọ̀ is our father's house. And you have to travel to Ìjẹ̀bú. Because the one he has in Lagos, àti pé owó ẹ̀. So o tẹ̀lé lọ́bẹ̀ yẹn. So you have to go to Ìjẹ̀bú. So kọ́kọ́ understand it. The second one is that níbo ni ilé olè? Ilé tibí yẹn is my own home. I built it to my taste, to what I want. So go and build your own home to your own taste. And we'll talk about Jannah la máa say. Your husband says best meal ti ẹ ní ẹja aláràn. Ṣé àwọn ẹja aláràn yẹn tún ní classes? Ẹja aláràn táwọn àjẹta fi dínta wà láyé èrè jẹ́nsìn. Tóró máa wọ́n gan ni. Wọ́n àti ẹ̀ import òun mọ́. Kúrúkúrú ẹja Titus no import. And you still have to manage it. That's the situation that you have found yourself. Okay, so you work better on your areas of competencies as a mother. Unlike our time. During our time, we were jack of all trades, mistress of all. We are not even mistress of none. Because we tend to be an expert in every area. But you can't afford that now. Because it will mean that you are wasting your time. You are wasting your resources. And that's why I will go along with you. If you will order a riro for 10,000 naira per kilo, can you imagine? Can you order a riro? Yes, now, order it. It's as a result of prioritizing your need and your time, your resources. The only thing that will happen is that you need to work harder to earn more. And once you have your opportunities right, what I'm saying in the paper is that just do SWOT analysis of everything. And by SWOT analysis, we mean you identify the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. And you pick the one that best suits you. If you need to spend 2 hours, I know them, they have to cook ẹ̀fọ́ fáwọn ọkọ ṣe wọ́n máa ń ro ẹ̀fọ́ ni. Àwọn tó sáwọn ọkọ àwọn ọkọ ṣapá wọ́n ti ro ẹ̀fọ́ fún jẹ. Because we take our time to ro ẹ̀fọ́. You spend like 2 hours láti máa ro ẹ̀fọ́. I don't expect the millennial to spend 2 hours láti ro ẹ̀fọ́ fọ́kùnrin kankan nísìnyí. So if those 2 hours you will engage on online business that will earn you 100,000 naira. For goodness sake, go ahead and do your online whatever for 100,000 naira and pay 10,000 naira for 1 kilo ẹ̀fọ́ rírò that another person is paying, and pay another 2,000 or 3,000 naira for the dispatch rider. You still have your balance. I am saying that your time dictates what you do. So if anybody is telling you what you are doing is wrong, except if you have not done your analysis very well. Again, there is need therefore to outsource as many of these things as possible. But you have to be very careful. Even in your outsourcing, don't outsource motherhood. Don't leave your child to that house help. You know what we hear of them. Don't leave your child to that house help. Rather, I know that what I advocate for my children is that tó bá fẹ́ gba house help, wàá tún sanwó creche, daycare. So your house help, because even creche, you can't rely on them too much these days. So you are paying for the two. The creche, ó wà ńbẹ̀. Your house help will follow your child to the creche, so that the special or particular or personal attention required by your daughter, your house help will provide. The overall àmójútó wọn will be provided by the creche. But then you will do that because you cannot afford to stay at home, and you cannot afford to take iṣẹ́ ìjọba tó máa san èlò ní minimum wage nsìn that will pay you 70,000, whereas if you go out there to go and work, probably will earn 300,000, 700,000 and what have you. So take it out, you are still better off. Endeavor to be a good mother, and being a good mother means you care deeply for your children with patience and prayer. That's what Islam requires of us. Allah says, seek my help be salati wa sabr. Seek my béèrè fún ìrànlọ́wọ́ látọ̀dọ̀ mi pẹ̀lú salat. The salat níbẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n tún to mean dua supplications. Ask for my assistance, ask for my support, and you have to be very patient even over your prayers. Navigate some challenges, balancing our work and family needs and self-care. You necessarily must navigate some challenges that you need to balance with the family need, family care, and yourself many a time. Especially when you are jókòó tì mí. In our own time, we used to forget ourselves. It's all about ilé mi, ọkọ mi, ọmọ mi, ọkọ mi, ọmọ mi, ọmọ mi, ọkọ mi, ọmọ mi, ọkọ mi. We used to forget ourselves a lot. You cannot afford that. Because it's only when you are upstanding and you are doing well that it will be what you want to be, you will be there for these children. Don't be like that person I referred to yesterday. Oh, kú tán, àwọn ọmọ náà ti, àwọn ọmọdé yìí ń gbádùn. And everybody ń jó. It was like, kò sí nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀. Wọ́n dẹ̀ kọ́ sórí IV, gàdàgbà gàdàgbà. The families of late Mr. and late Mrs. Abba. Don't be late, yo, when it is your time. Because the environment is not getting better. It's actually getting worse. And you really have to be up there to be able to do it well. You therefore need to work with some qualities. Flexibility and dependability. Unconditional love and affection for the home and for yourself. Emotional intelligence, of course. Dictionary language ti yín nìyẹn. Nígbà táwọn dàgbà, à ń sọ̀rọ̀ emotional intelligence. Of course it was there, but it was not, brought out like that. So in your own time, you need a lot of emotional intelligence to be able to cope with the situation. Patience. Oh, pẹ̀lú àwọn ọkọ yín, pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ, pẹ̀lú àwa, pẹ̀lú everybody. The average woman of today, if you refuse to be patient, you will get yourself into depression. And it's so easy these days. And that's why, by the time I'm speaking to any of you, and she now says, my mental well-being, ayadake ọ̀rọ̀ yóò ṣe sọmọ́. Ọlọ́mọdé ayá wèrè. In our own days, you don't talk of mental well-being, but you are talking of ọlọ́mọdé ayá wèrè sẹ́. And it's so easy for you these days to talk about my mental well-being. Mental well-being, don't hear me. And it is true. Your mental well-being is very, very important. And you can only take care of it through emotional intelligence and patience. Emotional intelligence. Be patient, yo. Gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ kọ́ ló máa fèsì sí o. Your husband will say, hey, because you earn more than me. In fact, I don't envy those of you that earn more than their husbands. Because you can't talk. Anytime you want to say anything, instead of him to sit down and reason with what you are saying. Even in our times, it did happen. But it wasn't as pronounced as it is. Lọ́dọ̀ tí ń sìn. It's about it is the in thing. Mo lọ kí ọmọ mi kan níjọ́ kan. Our neighbors wá ń jà. Ọkọ àti ìyàwó they always shouting, making us young ones like yourself. Níjọ́ yìí particularly, The husband now said, ó máa jáde kúrò nílé ilé ní. Ṣé mo bá ṣe ń kó àwọn ilé kan láwọn tẹ́tí máa ń sanwó tó wọ́n yẹn ní láti tẹ́tí sílẹ̀ kẹ́ tó gbọ́n tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ilé kejì. Ó máa jáde nílé ilé. The lady said, àbó tí ì gẹ̀ẹ́tì ẹ̀ á jọ sanwó ilé yìí lọ́tẹ̀ yìí ni. Ó ti gbàgbé pé 50-50 ni. Ẹnì kankan ò jáde fúnra wọn ò jẹ́jẹ́ máa manage ara wa. And if anybody must go out, it will be you. If anybody must jáde, it will. Gbúrò wọn mọ́. That's emotional intelligence. If you must answer at all, answer in an intelligent manner. Kò ń ṣèjà má pariwo before the man will push you into depression. I have seen cases where men push their wives into depression and then they are saying about ìyàwó òun ti ya wèrè. Yes. Yes. So don't let anybody do that for you. So as much as possible, gbé sùúrù mi. So you can only say, bóyá nǹkan téèyàn ń rò nìyí. But you will be out and saying, ó sọ báyìí. So when there are issues with you and your husband, as much as possible, gbé sùúrù jẹ. Ẹ jẹ́ tẹ̀lé súnà tánàbí kọ́ wa. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what is that súnà? That a máa yára gbọ́rọ̀, but à á lọ́ra fèsì. What is that supposed to mean? You will listen attentively. Pick all of the words. Ensure that you understand all of the words. Make sure that you process them in your head before you will react. You don't do spontaneous reaction. Not at this time. In our time, and they will bear me out. If our husband said something that was unbecoming, and especially our lawyer, ẹ má bínú mà. Ṣé àwọn pé training tí wọ́n ní pé wọ́n máa argue, wọ́n máa ó wà nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ ni wọ́n fi ṣèkà. The same thing pẹ̀lú our accountants náà o. Torí pé wọ́n kọ́ a bit of law, ó máa ń wà ń bẹ̀. But by the time tí n bá ti fèsì, àmọ́ ọgbà okay, go ahead. Go and solve now. Ṣebí because we are the head of your unit in your office. So the way you talk to your subordinates, you can talk to me. Baba Yagbenu Idake. Because he's not my subordinate. And your husband too is not your subordinate. So you mind what you say. And your best bet is not to react spontaneously. At our time we were lucky. We were reacting sometimes spontaneously. You cannot afford it now. Because the environment is hot. And the man is charged. And that's why you hear stories of wọ́n ọlọ́màjẹkárí wọ́n lura wọn pa wọ́n gúnra wọn pa ó yà á lọ́bẹ ó yà á ládàá ọkọ náà. These days in our days tẹ̀ ní gbọ́ these days millennial yóò bẹ tọkọ wọn ọlọ́màjẹkárí kò ṣe dáadáa. And there's a very thin line. Ẹ má sọ pé àtẹ̀nípa àjẹ́ muslim tá ń borí. I know muslim tó borí tó ṣẹlẹ̀ sí. In our days, in fact some 20-25 years ago, I had to follow a sister to psychiatric hospital. Because she had depression. Depression, mental illness is like any other form of illness. That's what the doctors will tell you. It's like intolerant euphoria. It's like intolerant hypertension. Illness in illness in there. It's just that in this particular instance, it was mental. Àwọn èèyàn wọn ọ̀rẹ́ ní tẹ̀lé, even láti lé wọn gan. Wọ́n ní wọ́n wò pé wọ́n máa lé èèyàn wọ́n tẹ̀lé bí wèrè. He was a teacher towards one of my children. Ní nursery school ọmọ mi yẹn. Wọ́n wá wọ́n ní tó máa tẹ̀lé. Wọ́n máa tẹ̀lé náà. What about it? She's my sister. And when we got there, the doctors were talking, wallahi, time is better, 25 years ago. The doctor that was to attend to her was her classmate in the secondary school. She confided in me. She could not recognize her, but the doctor recognized her. And they told us, one man cancel. That's why they will insist that somebody should follow them so that you will know how to, handle them back at home. So that was how I followed her. And we were told that before then, 25 years ago, àwọn Muslims ò kí ń sábà wá fún psychiatric treatment o. Báwo mọ nǹkan tó dé then 25 years ago àti wá ń pọ̀. Now go to psychiatric hospital. Àwa la pọ̀ jù. Listen, àwa la pọ̀ jù. You will see sisters in niqab. Ṣàfẹ́ni Islam ò yé tó ni. So it's the environment that is dealing with us. But we have to take care of ourselves. Take care of yourself. You need to be, effective communication. You must have effective communication. What you mean must be understood by whoever you are talking to. Tó bá ti ṣìgbọ́, you go back, your homework is not well done. One source of income ò lè tó even for you. You need to diversify. Most of the time, I have discovered living with you, relating to you, that many of you thrive better in your hobbies. What you think you just love doing for the sake of doing it. But if you go on to commercialize it, it will most of the time fetch you much more money than even your regular job. I know of people who are seamstresses today. And in fact, the person that sewed this my own dress for me has masters in English. But she's more of a tailor today. She started, I just have flair for it. But today, she sews even for people abroad. Look for that thing that you can still add. And you may discover at the end of the day that it's your strength. It's the point of your strength. Àwọn òyìnbó tán fún wa education náà bá tiwa mọ́gi o. The exposure at the university or the tertiary level is to, help awaken your intellectual capacity and capability. It doesn't mean that it is that job. It is that profession that you learn at the university or the polytechnic that will be your source of income. So recognize that and be able to do that. Before you know, once you are trying some other things, you just discover that and anything that you are doing by yourself gives you more time than working for anybody. If you work for me as a teacher, you must resume at 7:30 a.m. and you cannot close until 4 p.m. Yes, ma'am. And you must come every day. Sometimes even on Saturdays, you come and do extra lesson. But if you work for yourself, you can always manage your time. So, and that takes us to time management. You must be conscious of managing your time effectively. So, conclusively, I say that mother will be a frugal mother who knows when to spend and how to spend. She guides and supports the children to become happy and healthy, successful adults, thus building our nations. One more thing that I said you should spend on yourself. That's when people will think that you are being a spendthrift. Now you are being extravagant. Once in a while, be extravagant on yourself. Buy that extra clothes for yourself. Don't ordinarily wear it and look good. Buy that extra hijab for yourself. Buy it and look good. So sometimes spend extravagantly on yourself so that you feel good. Àbáwọn àbúrò mi tó wà lọ́wọ́ ọ̀tún mi yìí ńkọ́. When you sit across some of the days, ìyẹn náà dẹ̀ máa kó jẹ bí indomie. Do that for yourself. Don't wash your rùgbẹ́rùgbẹ́ and rùgbùrùgbù. At the end of the day, say you are spending for the home, for anybody. Today, polygyny is not a problem for you. It's not a problem for you. It was our own problem. How did it become problems for us? Become source of problems for us. We were doing it torí tọrùn. When we were growing up, they told us, kí ni mo fẹ́ fẹ́yàwó mi ilé ẹsí tó bá ti jọmọlúwàbí tó bímọ dáadáa tó ṣègbá tó tún ṣàwo tó ṣe kókó bàbà tó bá ti wá settle tówó yẹn bá wá dé. Ìgbà míì wọ́n lówó òde. So for you don't have that problem. If you threaten you because you have read so much about it, you have seen so much about it, but prepare for it. Nobody is immune against it, and I tell you that. I have a friend, when we were growing up, the husband kept in fact, about 50, he married the second and the third after 60. And my sister did something. Tí mo ṣì máa ń rántí tó máa ń dùn mí fún sísítà mi. Mo dẹ̀ wọ́n mi pé ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọkùnrin yóò rìn láìpẹ́ tó bẹ́ẹ̀. Nígbà tọkọ ẹ̀ pé 50, Allahu Akbar, she threw a very lavish party. àwọn èèyàn tó wá sí pàtí ò mọ̀ ohun tó dé irú àwọn ta close wọn báyìí la mọ̀mọ́dé ń sọ fún pé lágbájá kò wọ́ọ̀tì wá ilẹ̀ o kò wọ́ọ̀tì wá ilẹ̀ because ẹni yìí nígbà tó kù díẹ̀ kó pé 50 ó make àwọn moves kan tí kò bọ́ sí when he was about 47 48 mọ́mí wà àbẹ̀ ẹ já sí ó make some moves tí kò bọ́ sí so mà tó pé 50 nítorí ohun tó sọ ọ̀rẹ́ mi bá ṣe pati jaburata ó rìtáyà ní 60 níjọ́ rìtáyámẹ́ǹtì ẹ̀ wọ́n fòbìnrin mi hàn wá which is pé ó ti báyìí náà ó ti fẹ́yàwó méjì lé sísítà wa so don't think all those nonsense rubbish talk tó máa ń sọ it's not about them. wọ́n mean irọ́ o it doesn't mean that when he was telling you he didn't mean it he meant it because that was his situation at that time. By the time the situation changes, he himself will change. And so, if that is the case, and they have an allowance. So, rather than máa tanra pé kò ní fẹ́yàwó mi, ó máa fẹ́ o, ìfẹ́ àdúrà tẹ́mi tẹ̀ máa ń gbà ní pé kó má dúró lórí kó fẹ́ yọkàn lé mi, kó fẹ́ méjì, so that máa parí ìjà láàrin àwọn mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta. Yes now, that is it. I would have known it so much. But then àwọn mẹ́ta bá ń jà, àwọn ìyàwó méjì ti bí àtòun èmi máa jókòó big mommy a máa parí ìjà may Allah make it so easy for us. Fasubuhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wassalamu ala al-mursalin walhamdulillah. Gbogbo tí a fẹ́ ń bẹ lọ́dọ̀ rẹ Ọlọ́run jọ̀wọ́ wá fi lé wa lọ. Mo tún wá ní báṣà yìí máa ń kọrin gan èyí tá ò fẹ́ ń bẹ ní kápá Ọlọ́run jọ̀wọ́ má jẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ wa. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu ala al-mursalin.
I long for a world so pure and free. I wish for others all I'd wish for me to live right, avoiding what is wrong and focus every day on the ultimate goal forever.